Oh, that's such a great intro. Cool. So thank you guys for having me. My name is Dan, CEO, founder of KOHO. I want to talk about fundraising with intentionality today because I think that's a big part of it. And you've actually heard some themes of this along the way. So she covered this, but we've done 6 rounds of equity and 2 rounds of debt across 2 companies at this point. I've done everything from the super scrappy $5,000 angel checks to what ended up being, it was 42, and then we took on 25 and forfeited some, so the total of the Series B was 52. With the 5 minutes we have today, I want to talk about one practical item, a conceptual one, and leave you guys with some resources, because the resources and kind of the hard parts, the bigger the round get, the dynamics don't change, but there's lots of good resources for that. So this is kind of the fundraising arc that you think about as a founder. And so you start from this incredibly conceptual stage where you're basically raising capital that you as an entrepreneur can go out and get a team. And then that team can go out and get traction, and then that traction can go out and get revenue. And that's kind of the narrative that we raise on. And if you think about that early stage, people who are investing in that company have like 5 to 7 data points to make a bet on. Once you get to a Series C, Series B, there's hundreds of data points to make a really informed decision. And so that 5 to 7, that early round pre-seed seed, is really about being an outlier, right? And so what we did at KOHO to share our outlier story is you have to convince the people who are investing in your company that your outcome is going to be different. If you're an average company as an entrepreneur and as a startup, you fail. That's just the law of averages. And so what we did was this post is still up there if you want to check it out. It's called How We Used 1K to Raise 1 Million. And we took $1,000 and really methodically de-risked our cost of acquisition. And then what we did was we built actually like a confidence interval calculator and said, not only do we know our cost of acquisition is $7, but we're 50% sure, or excuse me, 95% sure it's going to be less than $11. And so what that did with our early investors was it showed them, one, that we were going to be really thoughtful about how we approach the problem. The second thing was that it showed them that we saw the same problems that they did. We resonated with the same risk of the business. And then the third thing we did was we took a unique approach, and we built the calculator, and then we published that calculator and let other people run their own customer acquisition tests. So I'd encourage you guys to think about your outlier story. Think about, and I've seen outlier stories which are a unique perspective on the problem, a uniquely personal problem. I've seen outlier stories which are physical achievements, where they're just something about their life would indicate that they're going to be really resilient in how they approach business. On the conceptual item of fundraising, the thing, funding is pass-fail, right? You either get the capital and you keep raising money, or you don't. And so in the notion of leverage, and how do we create the most leverage when we fundraise, I came across this great heuristic the other day, and it's what one thing makes everything else either easier or unnecessary. And you've heard a lot of this earlier today, but it's a really high sense of purpose. And I want to go over this because it's a bit of a cliche, but I want to give you guys maybe some different ways to think about it. Most companies, average companies, fall somewhere in this spectrum. I actually use the exact same examples as that other talk. But so if you think about a VC, right? A VC is a human being, they're emotional. They want to put that money to good work. They also know that people with a deep sense of purpose are going to be more resilient when it comes to putting up with all the bullshit that comes with running a company. Finally, with this, if you think about where the inflections are between the talented people and the people with a strong sense of ambition and a strong sense of purpose, they inflect at high purpose companies. So it is a sustainable competitive advantage. And I would encourage you guys to think about this from a couple of ways, and maybe 2 heuristics that I would think about. And one of them is, what would it look like for your company to be in the top 10th percentile or the top 5 percentile of a purpose-driven company? How would that change how you operate, how you speak, how you engage, how you run staff meetings, right? Because we all want to build a purpose-driven company, but what does it actually mean to be an outlier in that capacity? The second heuristic that I'll leave you guys with is one that I call the anonymity heuristic, and I like to use it, and it's just a really simple question, which is, would you still do what you're doing if you had to do it totally anonymously? And if you wouldn't, then that tells you something about the relationship of your work, right? It tells you something about what is motivating you and what is driving you to achieve this problem. Because I feel really, really fortunate that I get to work on a problem that is helping Canadians save and helping them get ahead, and I'm lucky enough that I would do this anonymously, right? So thank you guys for your time. It's cut off a little bit, but these are great technical resources if you guys want to learn the mechanics of raising. My email is daniel@koho.ca. Happy to answer some questions.
Standing ovation, please.
Yes, man. Give me that whistle. Who's got that whistle? All right, now give me 2 questions. And one of the questions can't be, where'd you get that sweet sweater?
Yeah, I can.
Thank you for that presentation. One question I'd like to ask you is, as a founder of a fast-moving startup, what do you look for in a VC for you to decide if this is someone I want to take money from? Because a lot of times someone giving you or offering you money is not always smart money or helpful money.
Sure.
So what do you look for in a VC?
Yeah, it's a really wonderful question. I think the first thing is humility, because I think that the good VCs recognize that this is a hard thing to do and that they can only add so much value. And so the first thing we look for is a sense of humility. And the second thing we look for is, have they seen this playbook before? Can they add direct, relevant experience in a way that's going to be applicable? And the third thing is, like, these are really long-term relationships. So in the last round, just to cover a bit of ground, I think we met with 100 VCs. We probably could have raised from 7 or 8 of them. And the people who we ended up doing the deal with were the people who were high conviction about the mission and people that we really felt like had a lot of integrity. So it's the same rule as always. It's just, who do you want to be in business with?
My question is, how do you think that companies like KOHO will change the banking industry, and what do you see the future of your product, especially?
Yeah, so it's interesting. So there's a world where KOHO is not successful, and yet I'm still very, very proud of what we did. And I think we're starting to see that with fintechs. So like, if you have less than $5,000 and you bank at a big 5 bank, they like the savings rate they pay you is 0.05% interest, right? It's outpaced by inflation of 40x. And so that narrative plays out on basically every financial product. And so if all we do is change the market dynamic in Canada such that Canadians are more informed and have a better financial foundation and frankly have higher financial expectations on their product, like, that's a good outcome for me and for our team, not for our investors. But it would be a good outcome for us. On the second part of your question, look, we do very narrow things well today. And that's great for some subset of the population. But we know that we need to expand to other verticals and to bring people other products. So, for example, we're going to be integrating 2% interest accounts, which is a big part of the gap that we're missing right now. So it's really a function of bringing people. So we do 2 things: democratize the best financial products and give everybody a great financial foundation. So that's the line.
Thank you.